Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to thank you all for attending this conference on trends and gender issues in distance education. I am Walita Jackson, a PhD candidate in educational technology. I have been afforded the opportunity to introduce our outstanding keynote speaker, Dr. Brandon Johnson. Dr. Johnson has a Bachelor of Science degree in Instructional Technology from Troy State University, a Master's degree in Educational Technology, and a PhD in Educational Technology from Walden University. Dr. Johnson has traveled the world to discuss the many trends and guidelines on how gender affects the online learning environment. When I think of online learning, it never crosses my mind that there could be any variances in how males and females perceive their online learning careers. Due to it being online and not being face to face, there should not be any issues. Well, there are several issues. Today, Dr. Johnson will elaborate on three key topics in trends and gender issues in distance education and how they can be alleviated to ensure that all genders are treated equally within the online course shell. Burge feels distant education is now better defined in terms of what it is not. That is, one physically defined visual space holding all course members than what it was. That is, any version of a wide range of delivery formats planned and implemented by an institution. The first topic Dr. Johnson will discuss is social interactions, which deals with how males tend to interact more. Their responses are direct and to the point, whereas women interact less in the online environment but give more emotional responses. Next, men tend to enjoy online learning more. The educational software is also mostly designed by men and thereby tends to correspond more for male learning styles. Women prefer cooperation and communication oriented tasks versus the males. And finally, designs created by men raises the issues of women's exclusion in the design of technology courses. Women have come up with the underlying concept, and Bird states that if they get involved, this is done at the early stages of development. In reference to social interactions, Burge discussed, as for the online course shell, mostly being designed by men, there are other obstacles. For instance, in Northern Ontario, there was a study done on 11 students, 10 female and 1 male, where they used audio conferences to do their assignments. In the end, several women felt threatened, confused, enlightened, and validated by the course. Some women told us that they were exhausted after days struggle in school administration or other male dominated settings and had little energy to bring to the evening's audio conference, where they found that the format itself was more demanding than a face to face discussion. Several expressed a preference for the convenience of staying at home, but one was reluctant to do so because of interruptions from her 7-year-old daughter. Another student with an infant daughter always called from home and only experienced a few interruptions. The special conditions of women's lives are important consideration in making courses accessible to females. That is one reason why men should not be the only determining factor in the creation of online courses. In reference to men enjoying the online course share more than women, E. Barrett and V. Lally found that some significant differences in the access and participation of men and women students were noted in their research. References were made to 5 students, 5 of whom were women, who failed to successfully get online. Over the lifetime of the project, male students contributed on average slightly more messages than female students. However, male and female participation rates vary according to project events. After the seminar, participation rates resumed their pre seminar pattern, with men contributing more messages than women. One possible interpretation, which was given by the general pattern of active participation outside the seminar events, is that the female students considered the nature and quality of their contributions more carefully than men. Another possibility is that they may also have engaged in more self censorship within the context of the public forum than the men. It can also suggest that women's contributions to the online community tended to be more task oriented than socio emotional contributions to the electronic community than the men. And finally, the designs are created by men. That is why women tend to interact less than their male counterparts. Gunn states much of the recent literature states that women are disadvantaged because of inferior levels of access in technology literacy and dominant male behavior. However, the assumption that differences implies disadvantages are challenged by evidence that variable factors such as professed confidence and apparently dominant interaction styles do not necessarily lead to better educational opportunities and performances. Once male and female students are more or less equal in terms of access, experience shows that gender based social relationships, interaction styles, and inequities that exist in traditional learning situations correspond fairly closely to those found in the online environment. These evidence based assumptions contradict more optimistic claims that technology is gender neutral and so provides a democratic and equal environment. As for the online learning environment, it becomes commonplace. Educational designers must learn from experience and ensure that interactions and activities offer equal opportunities to all students. Overall, all three topics do overlap. There is an issue when it comes to gender issues within distance education. Dr. Johnson will elaborate on the background of these issues and bring you up to the current trends in gender issues in distance education. If we're going to use this in education as our learning tool, we need to be aware that we are not created equal. There will be challenges and obstacles that are unforeseen. There will be different than what you experience in a traditional setting. We must be ready for these experiences. Without further ado, I bring to you Dr. Brandon Johnson.